Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Tuesday and we're going to try to make it snow. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. And we're also going to play with some decorations. We're going to play with some different medias with stencils. I have already done a couple here with the Faber-Castell gelatos as well as the pan pastels. The one thing I will say about the gelatos is you do need to let this dry because otherwise you're going to make a mess. So I will show you how I applied those and we will work with those. I also have the Nouveau drops here, which are a little diamond fell off. They have a little diamond thingy on the top. They are a glitter glue, so we will be using those. We will also be using the Extreme Glitter Folk Art. This one here is a hologram. And then we also have the Glitterific, which is the chunkier glitter, also done by Folk Art. So we will be playing with those as well as some pan pastels. And we will be doing some snow, we will be doing some stars, some snow swooshes, and maybe even some ornaments. But let's start with the snow. I'm going to take a bit of the pan pastel here. Now, with the set of pan pastels that I got, actually I want to try the pearly one more. This is just coconut white, but this one is metallic icing. That might give us a little more glitter. So I'm going to take a smear of this. So I'm just going to take my palette knife that came with the pan pastels and put it on the palette. And I'm going to break it up. So I'm just going to mash it into the palette until it's smooth. Like that. And then I'm going to pick some of it up. And like I said, if you're going to do this with the gelatos, make sure your area is dry. So I'm going to go up in between these two and hopefully not touch them because they're not dry yet. Yeah, with this one here. And you just drag it across. Getting into all the little crevices. Try not to do what I just did and get into the other areas. Now this will put a thick layer of the gelato on your page. So like I said, it's going to take a little while to dry. But it does make a very pretty snowflake. Now keep a paper towel handy so you can wipe off your stencil. And this basically makes it so that you can use the stencil for other mediums. Now your stencils will have two different sides, a smooth side and a rougher side. Try to use the smooth side. And you have to be careful with the little extra gizmos like these pieces here when you're wiping it off so that you don't catch them and make a mess. So there we have some gelato ones. So I'm going to move the gelatos. I'm going to clean off my palette and my palette knife. Pick up all that gelato so that we don't mix it into other medias. I should have grabbed another bit of paper towel. because I'm getting it everywhere. Hold on a sec. I'm going to grab some more paper towel. I thought I had enough, but it was messier than I thought it was going to be. But that's okay. Messy's fun. So I've got the whole roll of paper towel now. I think that will do. All right, I have taped my paper down onto my palette so that when I do this, it won't move around on me. Now you can also do the same thing with your stencil. However, sometimes that will lift up whatever you've put down as your background. I have put down some June 6 ink. So this is Night Sky and Midnight Black put together to make a night sky kind of look. All right, so we're going to try some pan pastels here. So I'm going to come up here, I think with a couple of the little ones there. Try not to touch anything. Now, I did do this with my expensive soft tool and caused some issues. So if you have this tool, you can definitely use it. I suggest that you use this because this is a lot cheaper and it is disposable. Though the nibs on the pan pastel soft tool are disposable. However, they are also expensive. So load up your brush with your pan pastel. Very carefully make sure you don't put your fingers in other medias. And just brush it on. When you feel that you have enough of the white on there, you have to be careful not to move it. And let's do the one next to it too. Just because. Trying not to put my hand in it. All right, so once you feel that you have enough white on there, you can pick up your stencil and wipe it off so that you don't end up with pan pastel in everything. And I was using the wrong side of the stencil, probably why it lifted on me. So, like I said, make sure you're using the right side of the stencil. This side here is smoother, so it works better. All right, so we're going to do some bigger ones, and we're going to use the chunkier stuff. So we're going to use the Nouveau Glitter Drops. Again, I'm going to put this on my palette in a big old gloop. And then I'm going to take a rubber spatula. I'm not going to use the metal spatula for this. Oh, if I could. Where did I put my... I thought I had them. Okay, so I'll just use a small one. So that'll work. All right, so I've got a small rubber spatula here. So we'll just do this on some of the smaller ones. So I'm going to do this one here. Now this one here doesn't have a lot holding it together, so hopefully it won't get under the tines. I thought I had my big spatulas in that case. I'll have to look and see if I can find it, because I am going to need that for the bigger chunky stuff. And as you can see, the glitter is really, really, really light. So this is something that I would suggest that you put over top of something that's colored. but it does give you that silvery look in the sky. So you can also put that silver over top of any of these as well. All right, so we're going to take our glitter glue, our extreme glitter, and we're going to do the same thing. I've got to find that spatula though. I thought I had it, and I seem to have misplaced it. Let's see. Let's see if I put it in with the... Yes, I did. Okay. I found it. Now I'm just going to wipe it off here. Oh, that's not the one I want. That one's got too much of a curve in it. Here I thought I was all ready for this. I thought I had everything all together. You can also use oil pastels for this as well. I'm just not going to use oil pastels for it today, but you can definitely use oil pastels for this. And I'm not seeing the spatula that I want in there. So this one will have to do, unless I have the other one somewhere else. I have a flat spatula that's just flat. This one has a curve to it, but it will still do. It's still flexible enough to drag across what I need it to go across. So as you can see, the spatula here, it has a curve to it. So be careful of that, because it may just not even pick up what you're trying to pick up with it. And if you're trying to go straight, it's not going to hit all of the spots on the paper. All right, so we're going to do a chunky one with the Extreme Glitter hologram. I'm going to shake this up a little bit. And we're going to gloop it on here. And we're going to pick it up with our brush here. And we're going to bring it across. Just like that. And I put way too much on the palette. So I'm just being very careful to make sure that I try to get it just in the area that I want it in. Yeah, let's do all these ones here since I've got enough. Again, this will have to dry before you play too much around it. All right, now we're going to lift that up, and we have pretty, pretty stars, snowflakes, and they're shiny. I don't know if you can see the glitter in them, but once they dry, you can see the glitter in them more. All right, so this one here I'm going to have to wash off because, well, maybe we'll leave it because I'm going to use the bigger one anyway. So I'm going to come down here and we're going to use this big one with some glitter glue or glitter paint, chunky glitter paint. We're going to use the same type of thing. We're going to use the spatula. I'm just going to wipe off that other paint. Now this paint is clear, so I'm going to add it to that paint, which is white. So I'm just going to add a bit of it to this paint. And when it dries, it should be a little more clearer so that you can see the glitter. And I'm just trying to make sure that I pick up as much of that chunky glitter as I can. And it seems the chunky glitter and the white glitter paints do not mix well because they went very runny. I don't like that. So there is one failure. I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm just going to dab that. See if I can pick up some of it. And we'll just leave the heavier glitter on the page. So, failure number one, do not mix the paints. They don't mix well. So I'm going to wash this off and try to get some of this glitter off my hand because now I have glitter everywhere. But it's Christmas. We're supposed to get glitter everywhere, right? So I'm just going to wash off the paint so that it won't dry on there and gum it up. And dry off my hands. And then we'll take a paper towel and we'll dry off our stencil here. Alright, so it seems that so far the best one to use is the pan pastels or the gelatos, so a cream stick of some sort. That was silly of me, I just put that on the other stencils, getting them all wet. Yay, I'm smart. It's okay. We'll dry them off too. Alright, so the next one we're going to try to use is the star here. And we're going to use we're going to clean this up first because we don't want it to dry on there either. Try to clean all that off so that it doesn't make a complete mess everywhere. Alright. So we're going to add some stars. So that glitter there is still drying. So we'll go up here and we'll take our glitter itself. Let's see. See if I can get the gold glitter to work. And we'll just use a brush for this and see how that works. Oh, this one's never been opened. I thought I had opened them all. Oh, I thought I had opened them all, but this one here wasn't opened. Could have swore I've used them all. Maybe this was a spare. I have a couple of extra duplicate colors and I may have grabbed the wrong one, but that's fine. Alright, so we're going to use a brush for this. So we're going to grab a brush. I know I have a brush here that I use for glue. Where is it? There it is. So this is the brush I use for glue. You can tell because it's all frayed. And we've got our glue on the brush. And then we're going to just brush it across our stencil. Trying to get as much of that glitter in the star openings as we can. And then we lift it up. And then we have a star. Now that would also work really well if you want to do it this way. So I've added the glitter on the back, as you can probably see there, by painting it on there. I'm just going to put my brush there. Now I'm going to put this on here with the back part that still has that glitter paint on it. And then we're going to take our pan pastel and we're going to go over that with the pan pastel. On the other side. So I've put the sparkle side down and the pastel on the opposing side, so it's not going to touch the sparkle. And then we're going to gently peel that off. Blow it away. Now what it does is it takes that glitter and that sparkle off of the back of the stencil and puts it down on the page around your star. So another way of doing that is, of course, you can paint it on there and then put it down and then do your pastel or your gelato over top of it. I've got a piece that, there we go. That was stuck. All right, so now let's see, what else have we got? Oh, we've got a swoosh. So sometimes when you, especially when you're coloring Christmas things, you have little swooshes around Santa Claus, little sparkles, little swooshes of snow, that sort of thing. So I'm going to do this little swoosh here as well. And we're going to do this two different ways. We're going to use the glitter paint, but we're also going to use the pan pastel. Well, maybe we'll use the gelato. The gelato seems to work really well. It gives a really dark, bright white. And as you can see, the glitter glue here is starting to dry, and that white is starting to leave it. This glitter glue here is dry. This glitter glue here is dry. So as you can see, the glitter glue itself, or the glitter paint, does become translucent. So it does dry clear. So when you go over it with another medium such as pan pastel or gelato, you end up with having that sparkle behind it. So because this is nice and dry here, let's take our snowflake again. Let's take this one. Try not to get the other snowflake in the wet area there. And then we're going to just take our pan pastel. Oh, I'm going to try not to move that one. That's the other thing, is you got to be patient with these things, especially when you're using the gelato or the King Art gel sticks or paint or anything like that. You want to be very patient not to disturb it while trying to do another one. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a mess. Like me showing you this as quickly as I am in this instance. Don't do it this quickly. unless you've got other spaces on your palette that you're working in, don't put snowflake after snowflake in one area because you will end up with a mess. All right, I'm going to lift this up and blow away the excess. So as you can see, the snowflake is there, but also the glitter is there. And if you just blow away the excess, it will give you that snowflake outline. All right, so this swoosh. So as you know, with different things that you'll see with Santa Claus, you'll see either a frosty swoosh or a snowy swoosh, that sort of thing. So I'm going to put some of the gelato on the palette here. So I've got the sparkly silver one, and I'm just going to take a small slice of it with my palette knife and put it on the palette. And now we also have the, which one is this? Aqua Dolce, which is a tealy blue, ice blue color. And we're just going to take even less of it. And we're going to put it with that. And then we're going to mush them together. So I've got the palette knife here, and I'm just going to blend these two until they make one color. And it can be a swirly color, it's fine. But I just don't want big chunks of one color or another. I'm going to pick it all up on the palette knife. Now I'm going to follow the swoosh. So the swoosh goes this way. So that's the way I'm going to go. Try to stay within the swoosh. Very difficult to do with this palette knife. Now you can block off, and what I mean by block off is take the areas that you don't want your gel to be in, and you can put a piece of paper behind them or tape behind them so that those areas don't go on your page. So as you can see, I've got different areas here, like here and here, that I really didn't want to be in the swoosh. And it would have been better if I had blocked those off. Let's just finish it up since it's there now. All right. So when I peel this up, it's going to give you that swoosh, that movement of snow and ice. Now, once this dries, you'll see the sparkle in it a little bit better. And I can also go over it with some sparkle as well. Now I'm going to see if I can remove. Okay, so I can. If you are very gentle, you can remove areas that you didn't want. So I don't mind that there now, but I didn't want that square bit. Same with down here, there's an area that I didn't want. So that worked out quite nicely. Now I'm just going to straighten that edge a little bit. So as you can see, you can adjust it while it's wet. Just make sure that you let it dry. Now I'm going to do the same thing up here with this star, because I have a little bit of extra here. Maybe not enough, but oh. Just picking up all of the pan pastel off the palette, or the Faber-Castell Gelato off the page here, off the palette. And just play with it. You know, have fun with your supplies. You don't have to have all the fancy supplies. You can even do this with just a regular set of gel crayons. That did not work out well. So we're just going to remove it. Don't like it? Take it off. Now I have to wash that. So let's grab another piece of paper towel and we'll clean this up. And then maybe we'll do some larger things. I'm going to keep this knife out. And we're going to do that with the different levels of glitter here. So if you have a stencil like this that gives you the ability to do ornaments and so forth, you can do that with both the gel pen or the gel. That's got some water on it. You can do that with the gel crayons. That's going to touch. It's going to touch. I don't want it to touch. So we'll do it here. You can do it with the gel crayons, or you can do it with your glitter paint. So I've got the silver and I've got the gold glitter paints here. I also have a green and a purple up there, so I want the chunky. I want the chunky for this. So if I was doing this one here, I would do a lot more of the thinner things, such as the liquid pearls, the glitter nouveaux, the stickles, that sort of thing. I'm going to do this one here, which is a little bit larger. And I'm going to start with the silver, if I can get it out of the bottle. Now I'm not putting a whole lot of it, just enough to, well, that is quite a bit. Alright, now we're going to pick some of that up and we're going to put it down in a layer. Again, this is something that you're going to have to let dry. And it is going to dry clear, except for those silver sparkle bits. All right. Now the thing with the sparkle paint is it has an underlying sparkle as well. It's got the big chunky sparkle, but it's also got an underlying sparkle. So if you feel that you don't have a lot of glitter on there, when you lift it up, you will, once it dries, because of the amount of glitter in the background as well. And once this dries, it'll have the openings for the little flowers, and we can go back in there and add our other colors. Now I'm going to do this one. Okay, so I'm going to do this one over here. I'm going to try to make sure I don't touch anything. And I'm going to use the gold. Going to mix it up. Doesn't seem to be mixing up. I should put it in the shaker, but I really don't have time. I'm being impatient. All right. So this one has a lot of different colors in it. It's got some gold, it's got some blue. And it's got silvers. Got many different colors in it. So we're going to do this one here. And again, we're just going to pick it up. And we're just going to smush it around. We're not going to worry too much about the big chunks. Try to make sure that some are in there. But some of them are going to get lifted up. I'm trying not to press too hard on the stencil because it is touching a snowflake that isn't dry yet. So I'm trying not to mess that snowflake up. And like so. Alright, then we're going to lift this up. And then when that dries, we're going to have those wavy lines in there that we can come back through and put some different glitters in. So those are several different ways of decorating a picture with the different supplies that you have available. Like I said, the pan pastels are the easiest to use. The paints and that sort of thing give you a really good dimensional effect, which is awesome. Like this area here, it stands up a little bit more than say here or here where the pan pastels are, because the pan pastels are a flat media. It's a dust. So when you're using pan pastels and other things such as that, please do remember that you do need to spray your area to solidify and set that pan pastel. Now, in order to do that, you do need to have your media behind it to be water resistant. It doesn't have to be waterproof, but it does need to be water resistant, because the spray that you use for pan pastels is a water-based spray. Or it's a liquid, and it will run things. I know it just comes out in a mist, but it's still a liquid. So yeah, that's mucking around, making snowflakes. And once this all dries, I will play with it a little bit more. I like this effect here, and I like these effects here. I'm not sure about these effects. I do like this effect, using the pan pastel over top of the glitter. I do like that. Like I said, these need to dry so that I can finish them off so that I get a better aspect and better view of it. These ones here are really cool because they dried clear, but they pulled the ink from behind the, like they pulled the lighter ink up and gave it that lighter ink, icy feel. This one here did pretty good as well. It's not as prominent as those ones. So this one here worked really well, but it didn't give us that white snowflake look. So you could use these in the background and then put white ones in front of it. So let's try that now that those are dry. So we're going to take our snowflake, and we're going to take this one here. I'm going to move this out of the way over here. I'm going to have to wash that stencil and the palette because I've got glitter paint on it. All right, so we're going to use this one, maybe. Yeah. And we're going to go right in between those right here. And we're going to take our pan pastel and we're going to do that. Just because it's easier. Out of all of these, I am finding that the pan pastel is easier to use. Because basically it's dry. All you have to do is put it on your thing here, hold down and just dab it on. So I am finding that that is more palatable and easier to do. All right, now we're going to lift that up. Blow away the excess. And we've got a white star on there. Now I'm not quite sure I like that, so I'm just going to, because a lot of the excess got underneath it, so I'm just going to take a little brush. Nope, that didn't work. So that did not work. It did, however, leave a shadow, which is kind of cool, but not what I wanted. So we remove it. That's the great thing about pan pastel, is it is removable. Now, if I wanted to remove all of it, I would have to use a kneaded eraser or something, but I don't have one available. So if you find that you don't like something, you can either try to remove it or you can work with it until it is something that you like. I think the gelatos might work better for that. Or the paint. Well, the paint is what is there. So because this is raised, I think the gelato would work better. And let's see, do I have any? Let's grab just a little bit of the white, silver white gelato here. And I find the gelato is drier than, say, the King Art gel sticks. I don't find it as easy to use. And I think the raise, yeah, the raise in that paint is causing issues. So I'm just going to pick that all up. So when you're using gelatos, it seems that it needs to be on a flat surface. unless you want to put it over top of something. So let's try this. Let's try to just highlight it. I know I'm just messing around at this point, but it's good to experiment, see what we can do. You know, I have not used these a whole lot, so it's always fun to see what you can do with things. So I'm just trying to see how much of a highlight I can give it. And just scraping it off. Like that. I want to put a little bit more over here. Alright, so I think I've got most of the snowflake highlighted there. Now I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm just going to rub that in a little bit. That's kind of cool. Gives the snowflake a bit of a highlight and a little bit of a white glistening glow around it. That's kind of cool. I like that. Okay, so I'm going to stop mucking around here. This was just to show you that there are several different ways to utilize a stencil and other things that you may have available to you. If you don't have gelatos, you can use King Art gel sticks. They have a white in there. Or you can use things such as a gel crayon, children's gel crayons. I have a couple of different sets of gel crayons that are very, very inexpensive and would work well for these sorts of things. One of which is literally a child's set of crayons. And another one is one that I was sent by Grabby. And you can purchase them on Amazon. You can also purchase them through Grabby. If I can get them out of here without knocking everything off my desk, that'd be cool. All right. You can also use the water-based crayons as well, like the Caran d'Ache, but just remember that they are water, and you will need to make sure that you're able to dry that quite quickly. I think for the raised effect of these, the gel crayons, such as this one here, which is a Himi gel crayon. It comes in a wonderful little case with all different colors. Would work quite well as well. Let's give that a try. Now these are a little bit thinner than and softer than the gelatos. So hopefully, let's work with this area here, trying not to get it on. That's fairly dry. So we can either put it on such as this and just work it right in, right off the crayon. I would not suggest doing this with your Faber-Castell, only because it does eat up the crayon quite a bit. And the Faber-Castells are a little bit more expensive. Or you can do what I did before, and just take your palette knife and just wipe it across with your palette knife. And then we're going to lift it up. And there we have our gel crowned one. Like I said, the gel crayons are quite simple. They do require time to dry. The pan pastels are also simple, require time to dry. You can also use an oil pastel for this as well. Exactly the same way you just saw me do with a crayon. However, the oil pastel is also going to require some dry time. I'm going to grab a white here and show you as soon as I can locate my whites. Of course, my oil pastels are in a drawer system that is taller than me, so I have to sort of guess which drawer they're in and hope I grab the right one. And I never do. Alright, so Paul Rubin is actually on sale right now. I do have a 30% off coupon on the coupons page for the Paul Rubin oil pastels. So I'm going to go into, it's fairly dry there. I'm going to go in here, and this is an oil pastel. And again, just going to put it down nice and smooth. Like so. Now you can take your palette, your palette knife, or your rubber spatula and just move that around. Or you can use a paper stump to do this as well. Alright, and then you lift it up and you have your oil pastel. Now you can move it around a little bit until it dries. So if you feel that some area doesn't look right, you can move it around. Usually a paper stump works great for this. So if you have a line that didn't go in crisp, you can clean it up a little bit. Like so. Or you can take some from somewhere else and fill in an area that's not quite filled in properly. Like so. Alright, so again, the oil pastels works very well. However, it is a bit messier. You do need to wash those up really well so that you don't end up with oil pastel over everything. Just the same as you do with your glitter paint. But it does lay down quite nicely, and it gives you that nice bright stark white look. The Himi crayons work quite well just straight off of the crayon, the same as the pastel. However, with your pastel you are going to flatten it a bit. But you can push that back together. Like that. Alright, now that I'm all dirty and covered in white and glitter and everything else, the other set of crayons that I was talking about are these ones here. And these are, I'll just take one out because showing you the entire case is a bit of a pain. These are literally a child's crayon set. child's gel crayon set. Now there is no, oh, there it is. I thought there was no white in here for a second. There is a couple of metallics in this set as well. So if you want to use metallics, you can. This is done by AFAM. And they are just a cute little crayon. And we'll try them out as well. We'll do one more little thing. Let's grab, let's do a star. So I'm going to wipe this off. Oh, let's just throw that on the floor. trying to get the gel crayon out of there. So let's do that over up here. Let's move that out of the way. So we're going to put some crayon up here. And yeah, that's dry. Okay. Phew. I thought I'd just put that in there and it wasn't dry. All right, so these turn up just the same way any other gel crayon does. I'll wipe that off because I've got some gray on it. Hold it down really tight and just go over it with your gel crayon. These ones are really soft, so it won't take much to put down that gel crayon. And then peel it up. And you've got a very bright star. I actually like that. That looks good. I'm going to do this one here. I'll do one here too, just because I like the look of it. Try not to lift it up with your crayon. If you find that it's lifting with your crayon, move it away because it makes a mess when you get crayon under it. All right, so there we have it. And these ones here need a little bit more time to dry. These ones aren't doing too bad, but they're still pretty damp too. So you can definitely cover a lot of different things with just a gel crayon. Like I said, I would suggest using lesser expensive gel crayons for this, only because you're going to have a lot of, you're going to be using a lot of it. So if you're going to use a King Art gel crayon or a gel crayon that is more expensive, you're going to find that your gel crayons are disappearing quite quickly. And if you don't want them to disappear really quickly, it's best to use a cheaper gel crayon or a oil pastel, because the stencil is raised and it's basically it'll cut off little bits at a time as it fills in that stencil area. So again, this is the AFAM gel crayon. Now I'm also going to take my palette knife here and I'm just going to scrape it a little just to make sure that I have it where I want it to be. And then I'm going to lift it up like so. I got a little bit of it underneath. And I don't know if that's from the stencil or from the crayon. I think it had some blue on the stencil. But you can also do with the palette knife the same thing as you do with the gelatos and just press it in there as well. Like that. All right, guys, so that is using different medias for a background or for enhancement of decorations. Um, I like the snowflakes and the stars that we did with the gel crayons. They stand out whiter to me and they are more crisp. The ones that we did with the pan pastels, they work really well. They do stand out and um, they're not as crisp as the um, gelato or the crayon or the um, oil pastel. So because those things are thicker, they stand out better and they're raised. So this one here is almost dry, but it's raised up off of the paper, so it gives you that more of that three-dimensional effect. Um, Same with any of the ones that are done with a thick medium. They raise up off the page. The glue, the glitter glues, did quite nicely. I like the effect of them um, for giving it that sparkle, but it definitely doesn't dry white, so you would have to do that on a page that you didn't want it to be white, that you just wanted that glitter to come through. So yeah, those are different things that you can use, different mediums that you can use with a stencil to create snowdrops, snowflakes, stars, different whooshes and wind movements and that sort of thing. You can also do this with the pan pastels as well. Um, where did that stencil go? Right here in front of me. Let's see if I can remove that stuff without washing it, because I'd have to go to the sink for that. I'm just going to grab a paper towel here and I'm going to wipe that out the best I can. We've also got a little bit of a whooshy thing up there as well that you can use as a wind whoosh as well. So we've got the whooshy here. So let's put a little bit of this wind whoosh underneath it with the pan pastel. Again, using a disposable. Now, remember your other areas are three-dimensional, so they're going to stand up a little bit. So you're going to have to put a little bit of pressure on your stencil. Go against areas that are going to catch. So that it doesn't lift up while you're trying to put down your color. And then you lift it up. Any areas that you find lifted up a little bit, you can definitely just go in and blow them away. Pick them up with an edge of something or a brush or an eraser. An eraser works really well for that as well. And there's my mono. Because it's such a small area, I'm just going to use my mono. And I'm just going to clean up that edge. Like so. And that gives you that little bit of wind whoosh, sort of like this one here. This will also look like a water whoosh if you're using it for water, that sort of thing. This is just a inexpensive Christmas set that I purchased several years ago that I don't use often enough. As with all of these things are just things that I have in my collection, quite literally, that I don't use often enough and do need to use more often. Now, I'm going to lift up the paper here. I do have it taped down with double-sided tape. And I'll show you what I mean by the three-dimensional effects. So as you can see down there, it gives you that three-dimensional effect. Same with the stars up here. You've got all of that lift under your stars, under your snowflakes, that the Pan Pastels doesn't give you. The Pan Pastels does give you a crisp white little snowflake, and that's wonderful as well. I do really think I like the lift look, especially for the stars. I do a lot of stars. And the whoosh effect here for you know, that Santa Claus coming down the chimney, or you know, the sled flying away and lifting up the snow as it goes. That looks really cool. And the glitter glue. What glitter glue? Come on now. It's got glitter. And it's so sparkly. You know, and if I were to go over it again and use something else for that separation there, I can use some paint. I can use all sorts of things for that to fill that in. Same with this one here with the little flowers. I can fill in those little flowers with a different color and make it all pretty. But it's so sparkly. I'm going to sit here for hours just looking at the sparkles. All right, guys. Okay, so with that, I am going to say thank you all very much for hanging out and playing with me. Basically, this was an experiment to see what can be used on a page to create those snowflakes and to create the sparkle that Christmas requires. Again, I will say that I found that the gel sticks work the best. The oil-based pastel worked really well as well, and the pan pastel worked well as well. I prefer the gel crayons because they're very simple to put down. I will say use a cheap gel crayon. Do not use your expensive Faber-Castells or your King Arts or Caran d'Ache or anything like that, because it is going to eat up your crayon quite a bit. The effect of the glitter paint for a snowflake on top of something else to give it that glisten works really well as well. And that is my my thoughts on it. That is what I have found with using these several different mediums. So we've used the gel stick, we've used a oil pastel, we've used chunky glitter glue, glitter paint, we've used regular glitter paint, we've used glitter glue, we've used pan pastel, we've used gelato. And out of all of these things, I think that you can, of course, make your own decisions. You can, of course, see what worked for me and see what works for you, because we're not all the same. Everybody's different and everybody has a different touch. So if it didn't work for me, it might work for you. Depends upon how you're doing it, how you're laying it down. I may be doing it, in a manner that is not working. And you may have some tricks or some information that will help it work better. If you do, leave me a comment. For example, the pastel over top of, the glitter. Do you have a way that works quite well? Anything like that. All right, guys, those are my findings. Again, like I said, I prefer the oil crayon or the oil pastel or the gel crayon over any of the other medias. Gives you a better effect, and it gives you a nice raised effect, which can give you a crisp line. All right, guys, until next time, thank you all very much for hanging out with me, for playing with me in the muck, and making snowflakes, making it snow, and giving us some glitter. All right, guys, until next time, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. And always remember to relax, color, and stay safe. Until next time, bye-bye for now.